Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the straight shooting view,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
Welcome to
Coaching with JBK. Welcome. It's yours truly, JBK, with another episode. And this time we are coming back round from an incredible summer that we all saw. England after so many years from the men's side not being able to beat Germany at Wembley in a final, and the score was 2-1. Two legitimate goals against Germany, the old enemy as they call them. And what a game, what a tournament. And it was brilliant to see everything going on. I want to talk about that a little bit, but the main talking points will be the Championship and the WSL, the return of the WSL as of this recording on the 11th of September. First of all, I was at the Euros this year and went to a whole host of games, which one of the stadiums that was used was the Geotech, or the Brentford Community Stadium. It was a brilliant way to watch a bit of football. Tickets weren't overly priced, and I bought my tickets all of last year. I only went and bought an extra ticket again this year because I just could. And it was amazing. Every single game that I went to, there was always something that I could probably say was amazing to watch, was a splendid spectacle. And you could kind of get to a point where, well, women's football is now going to become a lot more competitive, not just in the international stage, but also in the club stages. There's been a lot of signings in between the Euros, before and after. And most notably, you're talking about Lucy Bronze, one of the winners, moving to Barcelona. So that's another thing that you kind of go, wow, big fight and talk there from Barcelona to ensure that they can go back and win the Women's Champions League. But what a tournament it was. England started it off well against Austria, managed to cruise in relative conversations, managed to cruise through the group stages, found it tough in the quarterfinals versus Spain. Had a difficult one to start off with against Sweden, but eventually managed to have a superb game against Sweden, and then finally finishing it off against Germany. Ironically, I didn't actually watch many of England's games until the final. I watched their rivals, Germany, and I said from the start, and I said it to a few people during the tournament, if Germany win it, then this is the team to naturally go and challenge for the World Cup. If they don't, then it will be the team that's getting prepared for the World Cup. And the World Cup is only less than a year away. So that's something to definitely look into if you get the chance to. Germany having their run, a lot of good games, playing Denmark, playing Finland, playing Spain. I went to two of those games that Germany had at the Brentford Community Stadium, ironically against Denmark and Spain. And they just played very good as a team to win the ball back, but also was intense when they had possession. Going into the other rounds, they had some decent games going in. Didn't really get to see much of it, but they played France in the semi-finals, and managed to get their 2 goals. And then in the final, their main striker, Alex Pop, she gets injured just before the final. So Germany had to change their tactics in the final, which they wasn't expecting. And all of a sudden, you have a completely different game. Their game against Austria, I'll remind myself, they played Austria in this quarter final, and it wasn't easy for Germany, but they managed to make it a win against their rivals, their neighbours, and go on ahead to play France, and then obviously continue on to play England in the final. Of course, Alex Pop was there right through up until the final, and that's sad for her, because hopefully she'll get a chance again at redemption. You never know. In a few years' time, when the Euros come around, or she might be able to win the big one with Germany against in Australia and New Zealand. So look out for that. 2023 is when the next World Cup will be. Moving it on. There's been a few transfers that we've talked about. Caroline Weir to Real Madrid, Lucy Bronze to Barcelona, as I mentioned. We also saw Lina Hurtig from Sweden move to Arsenal. So a lot of teams have tried to strengthen as much as possible. Chelsea have brought in some players, and that's just the Premier League, the Super League itself. The Super League. Let me get that right. But let's see how they do going forward. All these players that are now going to be adjusting to the schedule of the WSL and how that fits in with qualification for the Euros going forward as well, because it's nearly the end of the World Cup qualifiers and you're going to have playoffs coming up as well. But hopefully we'll see where everybody fits and who's going to be getting what places in those group stages come the World Cup next year. So a lot is going to be going on. We've also seen that sponsorship has built a little bit more, that ticket sales have gone up, not just since the Euros, but even before it. And we're now seeing more teams get involved with just making sure that they've got a competitive team, not just having participation anymore. It's now the competitive environment that they're looking for. I move it on. And like as I said, we're talking about the Barclays Women's Championship and the return of the WSL. So the Barclays Women's Championship has already begun, and we're just going to go into some of the results, and hopefully we'll try and get a few of these going forwards that most people will see as a good standard of football to go and watch if you cannot get a ticket at the WSL games. One of the games that are in talks at the moment, and one of the biggest games that are being promoted, is Arsenal versus Spurs. Especially if you're living in the south of England, Arsenal versus Spurs, 40,000 tickets have been sold. I cannot wait to be there. I'm one of those lucky few that have got a ticket, and hopefully there will be so many more people looking to go to fill that stadium as much as possible. All at the Emirates, where Arsenal will play Spurs on the 24th of September. 1:30 kickoff. And the week before that, 2 weeks before that, which will be the return of the WSL, will be Chelsea versus West Ham United at Stamford Bridge. Another good promotion on that one. Not seeing the ticket sales on that one specifically, but hopefully that will give us an understanding of where they're at, and hopefully get more going forward. A lot more people coming to matches going forward. But we are moving on, and we digress slightly. Try and get these results going forward. So, first result that I will speak about: Charlton Athletic 3. Sunday the 28th of August, by the way. Charlton Athletic 3, London City Lionesses 4. Some good results here for a lot of teams in the league. Some good results. Definitely to have a look all the way through. We'll talk about the ones on the 28th of August, and we'll go through to the ones on the 20th of August, which was the actual start of the league recommencing in the championship. So the first game that we're talking about here is Charlton Athletic 3, London City Lionesses 4. Good win for London City Lionesses literally a couple of weeks back. Napier with the first goal for London City Lionesses. Primus with a goal to make it 2-0. Simpkins made sure that with a penalty, the Charlton were back in the game. Follis made it 2-2. Rogers with a goal in the 63rd minute. Then Ag with a goal in the 75th. There was a long period of time before the next goal was scored, which was scored by Henson in the 114th minute. Wow, long time. But first win for, London City Lionesses scoring winning there in a London derby, essentially. Next result to come, Bristol City versus Blackburn Rovers. This one heavily centred on where Blackburn Rovers were going and also Bristol City continuing their rise. Hopefully with the chance to then return to the WSL, which they vacated only a season or two ago. Hales with a goal in the 14th minute before Sim with a goal in the 44th to round it off. Blackburn not being able to get much in the way of chances and or goals, but Bristol City making sure that they go home with the points on the day. Well done to Bristol City on that one. We move it on very quickly. And the next result to come will be Lewes 2, Southampton 2. So, a Hampshire derby. Lewes FC Women 2, or Lewes FC as it's now pronounced, against Southampton. Two teams close by, not too far from each other, getting a draw on this occasion. Good start for Southampton with a point here. Hazard with a goal in the 16th minute for Lewes, followed by Hack with a 2-0 head start for Lewes. Then you see Morris come with a goal in the 62nd minute before Rafferty rounded the scoring off in the 69th minute. What a time to get those results. It is definitely one that we need to see going forward on how a promoted side does in the championship. Will they have it their own way? Will they put up a good set of numbers on the board in terms of goals scored, as well as get as much points to show that women's football is going in the right direction? This is what I think Southampton's first season in the championship is going to be all about, is whether they have really put a marker down to say they've made it through to the top levels, to the second tier of women's football. Can they sustain that spot and possibly move on very quickly like Manchester United did a few years ago? Next result, Crystal Palace 3 on the 27th of August. Crystal Palace 3, Coventry United 0. Again, it wasn't spoken about, but I'm going to give it a little bit of context here. So, in January of this year, Coventry United basically were folding as a club. It would have been a very difficult time just to watch a team from the second tier of women's football going down. But it was one that we definitely saw almost happening. And at the last minute, it was in December of last year, but at the last minute in January, they were rescued, managed to get in, securing a bit of money behind them to try and make sure that they had funding to continue throughout the season. Once they did that, and this is where it comes in handy, they managed to get the right results to grind it out for the rest of the season. And on the final day, they travelled to struggling Watford. Watford basically needed a point on the final day of the season to secure promotion. No, to secure their status in the league, in the championship. In the 93rd minute, when the game was at 0-0, a shot was taken from outside of the box, which ended up in, nice little drum roll, Watford's goal. Coventry United had pulled off the incurable. Now, let me give you a little bit more context on this. They were also handed a points deduction. Watford had only won a game in that time, one game in that time, and had drawn or basically lost the rest. So they were given ample time just to try and get back, and they did it. They did it with the last kick of the game and of the season. Well done, well done, well done to Coventry United. Amazing work. So, moving on, and Coventry United on this occasion against Crystal Palace on the 27th of August, they lost 3-0. First goal coming in from Sharp in the 45th minute. Blanchard with a goal in the 64th, followed by Hughes in the 93rd minute. Well done. Well done to Crystal Palace. Coventry United rooting for you all the way. Hopefully you get the results to stay in the championship this season. And again, as I state, and I'm going to make sure of it, they did not go up. They just maintained their status. Moving it on to Sheffield United 2, Durham FC 0. Another good result here for Sheffield United, where they were moving into the right direction and going forward last season. But it was a little bit too late. Durham FC was one of the teams that finished in the top half of the table, had a good season last season, but wasn't able to secure the promotion above Liverpool. Sweetman Kirk with the first goal in the 52nd minute, followed by her second 20 minutes later to round off the scoring. Well done to Sheffield United by getting those goals very early on in the season. And we go to a big result here, and not just a big result, not because of who it is, because of what it means for this club. Sunderland 0, Birmingham City 4. Wow, big result. So if anybody had seen last year with Birmingham City, they had a lot of problems going into the season. Wasn't able to really get going. Had a couple of wins in against teams that you just think, how did you manage to pull that off? But did it anyway. Managed to do it anyway. One coming against Arsenal at home in the league, and also against Brighton and Hove Albion. Moving it on, and they're now in the championship, and they've got their chances to go forward in this one, where they could possibly bounce back straight away. So, scorers, all the goals in the second half. Scott with the first goal in the 46th minute. Wilson with the goal in the 73rd. Hodgson with the goal in the 79th. And Finn with the goal in the 82nd to round off all of the scoring in this one. Every goal to Birmingham City. Well done to them. They're definitely looking forward to this season for sure. Hopefully there's going to be enough in the tank to keep them up and go up on this occasion. We move on and we go to the 21st of August, Sunday the 21st of August, where Birmingham City, we start off with them, was a 0-0 draw against Lewes FC. So first points on the board there for Lewes FC and Birmingham City, which gives them a good foothold in the league. Both of them doing so well. And hopefully they'll get more chances going forward to just pick up those wins where possible. where possible. So well done to Lewis for getting that result against a major side in Birmingham City. We now go to Coventry United 0, Bristol City 1. And this is where we now start to see the levels rise in terms of who is in the championship going for the promotion, who's possibly looking at maybe I'm better off thinking about maybe mid-table. And I know it's only 2 games in, but you have to start questioning, okay, well, what did the results at the start of the season look like compared to the ones in the middle? Because that's where it's going to tell. That's where it's going to tell. So, moving it on just quickly. The result was Coventry United 0, Bristol City 1. Goal coming in the 48th minute by Woolley. Hopefully, this won't hurt Coventry United too much in terms of the first 2 games that they've conceded 4 goals. But they can still move on and show that they are going in the right direction, and it puts them in a position where they can easily bounce back still. Blackburn Rovers 1, Sheffield United 0. This game, as you see with the result, Rovers getting their goal in the second half on the 48th minute by Jordan. And just wondering, are most games going to be for the first half of the year, or be won within the first 10 minutes of the second half? Just looking at this stat, it just seems like a thing. Most teams who start off well in the second half probably win the game at the end. We'll continue. London City Lionesses 0, Crystal Palace 1. Big game here, as it's another London derby between 2 South London teams. Sibley with a goal in the 50th minute. And as I mentioned, the goals have been provided within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half, which normally gives the team the win. Only one team have not survived that, and that was Lewis FC, where they drew with Southampton. We move swiftly on, and I know that everybody wants to hear all the results, but we're just getting through these as quickly as possible. And I know that you guys will want to hear this one, because this one is definitely Durham FC against Sunderland, which was a 1-1 draw. Big result for Durham FC against Sunderland. Sunderland's finishing mid-table last season. Durham FC finished top half of the table. And they really did put the work in for this one. Goals coming in, and here's a team that's looked to try and get those goals a little bit sooner. Noonan with the goal in the 10th minute, Westrop with a goal in the 18th minute. So far, so good for teams like Durham FC and Sunderland. Sunderland's not doing so well against Birmingham City, but could possibly turn it around in the next games going forward. We are rounding off with the last few games. And that will be, when we talk about this one, it'll be the last game, which was on the 20th of August, which is what started the run from the championship already. Southampton 0, Charlton Athletic 2. So Charlton getting a win on the first day against the newly promoted side. Simpkins with a penalty goal on the 22nd minute, and Johnson with the other goal in the 47th. Brilliant, well done to Charlton Athletic on that day, and that rounds up all of the championship scores. We've had a international so far, where we've seen the likes of Republic of Ireland doing so well. we've got so many other teams doing so well in the international setup at the moment. And we will see the return of Liverpool in the WSL. And as we talk about that, we will talk about the games of the weekend coming up for all members of the WSL going forward. Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United will be at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium Saturday the 10th of September at 12:30. The kickoff is at 12:30. And then you have Stamford Bridge, 12:30 kickoff on Sunday the 11th of September between Chelsea and West Ham United. Big games here already going forward in the first weekend of the WSL. Some massive games. Everton against Leicester City, a kickoff at 1 o'clock at Walton Hall Park. And then you've got Reading against Liverpool. This is another game that I think Liverpool will want to go out and do well in against Reading. 2 o'clock kickoff, see if they can make it at the Medeski Select Car Leasing Stadium. Another 2 o'clock kickoff, Brighton Hove Albion against Aston Villa, the American Express Community Stadium. Another game where if you can get a ticket, why not just go and watch? It'll be so worth it. And the big game of the weekend at the Academy Stadium in Manchester, a 7 o'clock kickoff between Manchester City and Arsenal. Wow. What a game this is going to be. Good luck to all teams over the weekend. Hopefully we get some big results going forward. See what happens on the first weekend of the WSL season. See if there's any familiar faces. And let's see if there's any new ones coming through as well. This will be interesting. Good luck. We also have to give a special mention to Jill Scott and Ellen White, who confirmed their retirement earlier this summer. They've had a great career and have ended it on a high by winning the Euros with England. What a time to pack the bags and say, I'm done. I've done everything I needed to do. Amazing work. Well done to Ellen White. Well done to Jill Scott. Go and enjoy the retirement, ladies. You deserve it. I'm signing off. Yours truly has been talking. JBK has been here. I will see you guys later, hopefully for the next roundup, which will be the results of the WSL on the first weekend, the championship coming round as well, and let's see how it goes. I'm out. Peace.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
Including special feature segments.
5 minutes with the G.
the straight shooting view,
Coaching with JBK.
We produce, record and edit video content.
and
Audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor.
Spotify.
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram.
Facebook.
And www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now.